Well, yeah, it's funny because whenever I talk to people in film area, and I'll give this talk even if it's people who are not interested in film, because what I tell people is that whatever you're doing could always end up in a film, or whatever you're doing could always end up in a video game. I use those, or in a TV series. I use the film and video games very closely because those two worlds are audiovisual worlds, but they're very close as far as what the contracts are looking like these days, what's involved in the writing. The money is different in them completely, and the end result is a lot of times is different. But they're interesting, two interesting fields which are very closely related, which a lot of people don't understand. But if I said, go to a movie, if you want to write for them, be a film writer, and you're thrilled by it, go to a movie, figure out what types of music are in films. You're sitting there, you see underscore, that's like James Horner or John Williams or James Newton Howard or Howard Shore. It's the bulk of music in a movie. With that, that's not easy. A lot of those guys are classically, symphonically trained. They've got experience in that background. You don't have to be anymore these days because people like Randy Newman, Danny Elfman, people like that have come from the pop world in quotes. So, but you do have to know something about orchestration and how music fits into these films. But if you don't qualify for the underscore, then the other types of music are songs written for a film and pre-existing songs used in a film. Three types of music in a film. So, as you as a writer, if you're let's say an artist, a pop writer with songs out there, or a hip hop writer, or country writer. Less so with country because a lot of times you don't get a lot of country songs into films. But in those areas, if you have pre-existing stuff, then you're trying to get the music supervisor or the film to use your record or your song in that film. It's already written. You have a different type of deal. It's called a synchronization license. You might get $10, $15, $20,000, put that song in a film, one-time fee, but at least it's a pre-existing song. You try to get it in there. But you've got to know where the films, who's in charge of the films in the music, who's in charge of the music in films, to know who to get it to. But so that's a pre-existing song going into a film. So you really haven't done anything. You've tried to contact the people and get them interested in your song if it fits for the movie. Obviously, a ZZ Top song is not going to fit into a 1890s English movie. But so you have to. A lot of people don't remember that kind of stuff. They'll send in anything, shotgun approach, and then wonder why it's rejected. But the third type is when, if you're writing a song for a film, you go to the movies and you see what's being written out there. And a lot of times these days, you've got to be in a major city where they're producing films: L.A., New York, Toronto, London, if you're over there. Because you need to be close to the action. You need to know what's going on, what films are in development or pre-production or not in post-production. It's too late at that point. And in those cases, they're hiring a lot of producer, writers, artists, slash, could be two or three, that combination, only because those type of people can produce a hit record or a finished sound in a very short period of time. There are a lot of big writers. They go to Diane Warren comes to mind, or the Bergmans. You start looking at that stature of writers. They're individual writers, but they're because they know how to write for film. Particularly, Diane's great. She can almost write for anything. But a lot of times there's no time left. You're in post-production. The film's already shot. A lot of times they're putting in the music at that point. You've got a theater date, an opening date. You've got get the music composed and songs written. You've got to get the editing, the dubbing, everything finished in a very short period of time in the post-production period. So you've got to write very quickly. And you've got to be able to react if all of a sudden the director or this music supervisor says, that doesn't work, I need something immediately, change it. You've got to write a whole new song possibly, or change the current song. So you've got to know the craft of writing, and you've got to know production, and you have to know how to work quickly, which a lot of writers don't work quickly. And in this business, if you're dealing with film and TV's even worse, because the deadlines are even shorter. You can be writing something and the thing's being shown the next week. So those fields, you have to just understand the constraints of those businesses. You have to know how they work. You have to understand the three types of music in each of those, film or television. And you have to find out where you fit in and then just pursue it that way. You got NYU, you got a USC, you got all these big film schools out there. That's one area to go to try to connect with those people at that level. You got to find out what independent features films are out there, who they are. Those, one good source is the Hollywood Reporter. They've got a weekly edition. They've got, I think, 4 or 5 times a year a music special edition. And it lists all the people who are composing and scoring, all the production companies, all the people in the executive chairs, as they say, at the studios, at the production companies, phone numbers, who's at ASCAP or BMI, who's in the film and TV departments of those two things. But you really have to be close to the action. You have to know what's going on. You've got to have good material that you can get to music supervisors, who are the people who, in the main, put a lot of the stuff, this music, into films, not the scoring aspect. A lot of the scoring stuff is done by the big agents, and the agents are almost all in Los Angeles. So for any type of scoring, any of the big names I mentioned to you, or even the medium names or newer names who are doing composing, most of them are handled by agents. So you've got to get an agent interested in your work. That's why like ASCAP Film and Television Workshop is so important, because people actually come out of those workshops with a finished reel that they can go to an agent with. And so, that's one way to do it. But you've just got to bang on doors, know where to go, find out where who's producing what, and you don't stop. But it's difficult if you're not, particularly film and television, if you're not in the area where they're producing the stuff, you got a problem. So other areas of music, radio and stuff like that, you can be anywhere in the world these days. But film and television is pretty particular to certain areas. If you're well known, you can do things. You can be living up in northern New York State if you're a big composer, and you can still deliver stuff through the internet easily through to a major studio in Los Angeles. But in the main, you have to be where the action is.